Hi, welcome to Sessions. I'm Pastor Saxon, and so far we have been studying and growing in a better understanding of God's love. And so far, we have learned about God's love in joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, and faithfulness. And with continuing in learning about His love, we will see God's love in gentleness. Now, this message is for the person that is hurting. It's for the people that are dealing with pain in their lives. A pain that could be from depression, anxiety, or even physical and emotional abuse. I bring this up because when I was younger, I was a victim of sexual assault. And as a child, I had no idea what was happening or even what to do. I have had to deal with this emotionally and still am. When going through this, I was very confused, knowing this was not okay, but so confused of why this was happening. This continued for a while, but finally a friend of mine that was experiencing the same thing said something and led me to tell my parents what was happening. Later, because of this incident, I dealt with depression, and still to this day, I deal with these painful memories and emotions. But what do I do about it? Some days are better than others, but I pray. I replace those memories and emotions with God's loving gentleness. I don't suppress what happened. I'm not going to get better that way, but I focus on God's love that helps destroy the pain of the memories and emotions. So I share this part of my life with you because I want to let all of the hurting people in the world know that they are not alone. And even though someone could be dealing with such pain in their life, they don't have to settle with the memories and emotions of what happened. But there is help. There is a gentle, loving help that we all need when going through such a difficult and painful time. God's loving gentleness is for you, and He wants to give each of us comfort. This reminds me of a story told in 1 Kings 19. And in this story, there is a prophet named Elijah, and he deals with depression, anxiety, and even suicide. It starts with Elijah fearing for his life when Jezebel threatens to kill him. And right here, Elijah is dealing with some great anxiety because he is scared, because he could lose his life. The story continues with Elijah when he is running away. And I could only imagine the anxiety he's feeling, the anxiety growing worse and growing into a depression. And later, Elijah prays this prayer. It's in the last half of verse 4. I have had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Elijah was in such a great depressive state that he didn't even want to live. Continuing in the story, it says in verses 11 through the beginning of verse 12, the Lord said, go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind, there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. Reading this, we can see this in our own life when things seem to really suck and we are dealing with anxiety and depression and even suicide. And we pray for God to take it away. And again, things just get worse and worse. And it could feel like the world is crumbling down. I want you to remember the last part of verse 12, which says, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. Now, to put this all together in your own life, have you ever felt hopeless just as Elijah did? Have you ever felt like it would be easier just to end it? I want you to remember that there is hope, no matter what you might be dealing with. There is hope no matter how much chaos is surrounding you, no matter if people are trying to kill you, just as with Elijah. And no matter the anxiety and the depression and the world crumbling down, there is still hope. God responded to Elijah with exactly what he needed, and that was with a gentle whisper. God's loving gentleness spoke to Elijah, and it spoke louder than all of the chaos surrounding him. God's gentleness spoke louder than his anxiety, than his depression, his pain. It was louder than the winds and the earthquake and the fire surrounding him. God's loving gentleness spoke renewed life into Elijah and can also speak renewed life into you. In this renewed life, we don't have to live in our anxieties and our depressions and our pains. We don't have to live in that life anymore, but instead, we can live in a life that is filled with God's love. A life where we can be reborn. A life where we can feel God's gentleness, a perfect gentleness that we will always need in times of pain and suffering, and also in times of joy and comfort. God's loving gentleness is for all of us. It's for all people that are dealing with anxiety, depression, physical and emotional abuse. Let God's gentleness speak in your life and be comforted by His love. Thank you. I'm Pastor Saxon O'Campo, and I'm passionate about God and His love for me and for all of us. God's love has had such a massive impact in my life, and it's just too great that I need to share it with everyone. I want to thank you for joining us in sessions and experiencing God's love together. Thank you.